eyes on the way I vibe when I walk into the room. Wind blows underneath the soles of my brand new pair of shoes. I got the attention, I'm on a mission. No sweat in the way I step, I got a fresh new attitude. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. New look, got the ladies shook. New watch saying it's my time. These magazines wanna feature me, cause they know I'm on the rise. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. Cause ever since I flipped that switch, my power can't be denied. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. I'm there with a vision. Got a passion, making it happen. I'm ready for action. And this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. And this is my world now. And this is my world now. And this is my world now. This is my world now. Hey! Here we go! We coming ready or not, you better steady yourself, because we're raising some hell. There's nothing keeping this roof from blowing off. We're taking over the town, hit the switch and shut it down. Like Indiana, we're electric, never stop. We coming ready or not, we coming ready or not. We're giving all that we got, we're giving all that we got. We're coming ready or not. We're throwing gas on the fire, the
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to a great edition here to FTN. This is for the eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying Series. I'm Terry Radford, Jason Rockefeller, and the driver of the number 54 Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry for JGR, Daniel Falkingham. Boys, this is the closest points race we've seen in some time. We talked about it. It is a four-way tie for the cut line, and 28 points separate the driver of Kyle Pettle in 69th. All the way up to Kwame Scott in 18th. You talked about it in pre-race to us, Jason. If one person makes a mistake outside that cut line or above it, it's going to be detrimental.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, tonight there are about, looking right now at the points, you have all the way from Kwame Scott to Daniel Smallwood. That's 5 guys all tied for that last transfer spot. Only remember, 20 drivers make it in to the Contender Series after round 2 of Road to Pro. So with that being said, one bad race, and even tonight, it could ruin your entire Road to Pro season. We've seen drivers like Daniel Falkingham said earlier, and a few of us also behind the scenes before the broadcast started. Ray Alfala was way deep in the points before Pocono, drove up through the field, and he was able to score a top 5 position after that race for all the chaos we saw ensue at the end of that one, and now he finds himself above the cutoff line in 17th. So these guys are going to have to be on their toes here tonight.
Well, and Dan, you talked about this before as well. You've had a very disappointing season to your standards in the Coke Series. You're looking at a lot of these drivers that's going to be in this top 20 that has been in our split, whether it was last week, the week before, or this week. How much are you going to learn? What are you going to gain from calling these races that's going to lead you into Contender next season to maybe put you a step ahead of what their driving styles are?
Yeah, just a lot of these guys that are currently racing tonight, I raced a lot of these guys last year in the Road to Pro ladder. A lot of these guys weren't fortunate to make it through like I did. So definitely seeing a lot of people that are returning this year. Just kind of seeing, has any of their driving styles changed that I'm going to have to adapt to, like when I'm racing around them, all that. Well, I'm going to have to find out tonight. And guess what? We had to find this all out on a short track, the only short track on the round 2 schedule. here at IRP, and I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but it's going to be a blast, that's for sure.
Track position potentially is going to be the name of the game and the story we talk about throughout the show. We have a very star-studded field here in Split 2. Names of Alfala, Seth DeMerchant, Dalton Collins, Agnell Phillip, Max Brady, Buttafuoco, your Pocono winner, is back with us here this afternoon. We got Kerner, Coyne, Lapovich, Matthew Swax in this field. This is a very, very big field when it comes to the iRacing world of things, Jason, and we get the pleasure of calling these drivers to potentially a win here tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Was able to call the race a couple weeks ago with Dan and Daniel or David behind the scenes. It was an interesting one to say the least, and it was very, very thought out. A lot of drafting, a lot of that stuff going on. Got chaotic at the end, and then like you talked about, Terry, you come into tonight's race here at IRP, as most people know it, a little bit more than a half mile oval. Track position definitely going to be key. The tires will wear out very quickly, but it was super hard to pass here. From any time that I ever ran this track on the bottom, you'll kind of make that truck go all the way to the top of the racetrack, kind of diamond it in a very awkward way if you want to really put it that way. So track position is definitely going to be key here tonight, and it's going to be very, very hard to pass with the top being so dominant.
Well, Daniel, we're looking at a little bit of practice on our timing sheet. Anybody potentially jump out to you? They've only got 2 or 3 laps of practice in it, but qualifying is potentially what they're trying to practice here. Who stands out to you up here?
Well, right now I'm looking at the qualifying sheet right now. Chris Pfeffer at the top of the board, but Taylor Hurst, those two are tied at the top of the board, and Taylor Hurst, in both races he's done this season, he started on the pole both times, and if it weren't for the tiebreaker, he'd be on pole again. So Taylor Hurst, him in lockdown, bringing that speed once again. It seems like no matter what track we go to, they're always right there up at the front in qualifying, and they're always up there at the end of the race. So Taylor Hurst continuing to bring the speed each and every week. You got Agnell Phillip up there. Ray Alfala, Seth DeMerchant right up there in the top 5 too. Right now, the field, looking at it, it's so up and down. The field is so tight in time too. It's very few tenths separating, probably like the top 24, top 25 throughout this entire field. So we are going to have a very competitive race on our hands. And like I said, it's so competitive, you got to get the track position when you can. And with this race tonight, it's actually 20 laps shorter than it was last year to last year's 140 laps. So even you got a less amount of laps, a less amount of time to get to the front.
120 laps to get turned here. A pit stop will be on the horizon, barring a caution fest that, it's IRP. I'll break the tension there. I think we all was in agreement here. It's IRP. Short track tempers, short track driving, especially in the trucks. We'll cut our attention to qualifying here in just a moment. All these drivers finishing their little bit of practice session that they got with the 3 minutes, able to put just a tad bit more laps down. But, man, Pocono was fun. We go from a 2.5 mile racetrack to this. This is a very tiny racetrack, and a lot of these drivers, I'm not 100% sure if they were ready to go short track racing, but we're glad that you guys are tuned in to FTN's broadcast. We'll have flag to flag coverage, and who knows, maybe you'll learn a thing or two from us.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to be a really interesting race to say the least. Obviously here, Terry, you bring up the opportunity of having a lot of cautions with how short this track is. Everybody fighting and clawing for every single position. Remember, we talk about it every week. You could talk about it with any league, anything that you run here on the iRacing service. But when it comes down to Road to Pro, man, every single position is a point closer to your journey towards $100,000. So we'll have to see how it ends up being tonight. Saw a lot of cautions later on in the second half of the race at Pocono. We very well could see that here tonight, possibly.
Starting grid's going to get ready to line up here, and we'll take a look at the starting row. On the pole here this afternoon, it is going to be Christopher Pfeffer with Taylor Hurst to the outside. Agnell Phillip in the 9. We'll start to the inside of row number 2 with Ray Alfala, Christopher Hill, Seth DeMerchant, your row 3, Zach Nichols, and Hunter Geoghegan. I think I'm going to mess that one up all night. Brad Wright and Eddie Kerner rounds out your top 10, Jason.
And then your next set of drivers to round out the top 20. Row 6, you got Blaze Crawford and Daniel Buttafuoco a couple weeks ago, the runner-up from Pocono. Row 7, you have Trayton Lapsovich and Jack Coyne in the 52. 15th, you have Blake Neer. 16th, Matthew Zwack, who's been strong all season long. 17th, James Wenzel. 18th goes to Cole Hooper. 19th is Mr. Spencer Burns. And 20th place, rounding out the top 20 drivers, Max Brady in the 17.
Starting in row 11, starting P21 is going to be Charles Grand. Then you got Dalton Collins starting 22nd. Johnny Avila starting 23rd. Mitchell Hunt starting in 24th. Dominic Lukomsky starting 25th. Michael P. Frisch starting in 26th. Phil Groner 27th. Joseph Causey 28th. James Houghton 29th. And Matthew Baer rounds out the top 30. And to round out here our 30-car field tonight, you got Tanner Love, the last man to take a time. And then Tommy Gossett, Yusuf Gali. 2 drivers that did not take time, rounds out your 33 truck grid tonight, Terry.
33 trucks getting ready to set for 120 laps around here. And Dan, I'm really, really glad that you pronounced the last name because I'll have to lean on you a little bit if he drives through this field and we see it take time. Short track, short temper. We talked about that to start this. But Dan, I want to come to you because you've raced here on a very competitive level. These corners are not the most friendliest corners on the iRacing platform. What's the keys to victory here this afternoon to punch your ticket potentially to $100,000 in the NASCAR Contender Series?
Yeah, the key tonight is, like we've been talking about, track position, track position, track position. And what's different about this year's race is last year's race, we were racing in the nighttime. This year, it's in the heat of the day. Track temp is very hot. Tires going to wear out, so we might have some more comers and goers as this race goes on. So I'm very intrigued to see if we're going to be able to move around, or are people going to be able to run that very bottom, or are people going to run that normal diamond line, which is a very common line you use here at IRP Lucas Oil Raceway. But as they're coming to the one to go signal here, very interested to see a lot of people who haven't had great qualifying effort, like Michael P. Fresh, who stands out to me. He had a great run at Pocono. He was over on FTF last week. He's here with us this week. Was leading at the end of that race, and some pit strategy and late cautions didn't fall his way. He starts down in P26. That's going to be something we're going to look out for tonight.
I'm going to put you 2 on the spot. Pick a winner real fast, Jason.
I think Daniel Buttafuoco reclaims the top spot here this week. Lost a couple weeks ago Pocono from a last lap pass by Briar Pratt. He's starting towards 12th spot. I think he does it.
All right, Dan, who do you got?
I'm going with Taylor Hurd. He's starting at the front. He's staying at the front.
All right, as the field rounds the corner here. And I missed that completely. Green flags in the air. We're racing at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Lap 1 of 120 is underway.
In the back already.
They're wrecking in the back, and we'll see if the caution flag does wave. Looks like they gathered it all back up. But right at the moment, you see them there. 3 wide car goes around. There's a truck hard into the inside wall. Caution. A flag is out. That's number 1 of the evening.
Yeah, that was very interesting right there. Into turn number 3, you saw a lot of trucks just jockeying for position, heading down into the corner, and then ultimately one truck goes around. Believe it was Charles Grant there in the 52 machine. Saw him spin right off the front bumper of somebody. Dan, what happened here?
Yeah, at first it all started up at the front with Hunter G. I can't pronounce his last name, so we're going to call him Hunter G for the evening. He got a shot from somebody, and then as they're all trying to collect it, everyone just trying to avoid him. And then, unfortunately, just Charles Grant just trying to stay low, trying to get around him. There's people just trying to avoid the incident, and unfortunately, he was the unlucky one. But thankfully, only hit the rear end, just a light touch on the inside wall. Doesn't look like to be any visual damage from our point of view, so I think he might be good to go. Just a little bit of scuffed tires there from that big old slide.
Let's talk about aerodynamics for a second, because a lot of people who are watching understand that short tracks, you don't necessarily have to have the best aerodynamics to win this race or to have a good run. And Dan, I'll come to you on this one because, well, I mean, this was early. Didn't make a whole lot of contact there, but say you do make contact with the wall here and you wrinkle up a fender, how hard is it going to affect you?
Well, thankfully, with this new damage model, with the trucks that came into the iRacing service before the start of round 2, What you saw there with Charles Grant Jr., if this was on the older damage model that we had when we had in round 1, he might have a wrinkled fender here and there. But thankfully, with that light touch on this new damage model, I think he's clean and he's ready to go. So thankfully, even if you get up into the wall like Hunter G did there in 3 and 4 on the first lap, even if the really only way you can get major damage is if you have a very hard contact. So even like a light brush with a wall, a light bump with another truck, it should not affect you any. Pretty much the only thing that's really going to be bugging you tonight is just aerodynamic, is just aero push when you're behind another truck. And with how much single groove that this is going to be to start the race, it's going to be really hard to go anywhere on the short run. But if this stretches out to a long run, maybe we can start to see some comers and goers. Who's better on their tires? Who's got the long run pace? That's stuff we'll just have to wait to see as we get into these early stages.
Well, and Gohagen is still currently sitting in the 21st position, so we're going to see how this is going to continuously run. We already have 5 laps on the board. We should be coming to the 1 to go here. We'll double these trucks up. Jason, the pit strategy here is, I would imagine, pretty simple. If the caution bug continues, you're not necessarily going to have to pit for tires. You might just pit for a splash of fuel.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, looking from what it could have been if these things do go green now, from when we do go green here in just a lap on lap number 7, you're looking at these guys for the fuel window being about 75 to 80 laps possibly. So that's probably going to be around the time where you're going to start seeing guys pit. Remember, that's if it goes green, but we will have to see. Cautions breed cautions. Hopefully that's not going to be the case here early on.
All right, the pace car comes down onto pit lane for the second time here this afternoon. The field is in the hands of Christopher Pfeffer for the second time. Green flags back out in the air. We're going to get ready to go here for that's lap number 6 that has been completed. We put lap 7 on the board. We single filed the top 3, but it's side by side through the rest of the field.
Everybody getting side by side. You see Zach Nichols trying to make a pass right now on the bottom of Seth DeMerchant. He's not able to get it right there. But it just goes to show you here, Dan, how tough it is to pass as Zach gets very, very loose out of turn 4.
Very loose indeed. As you can see, he's trying to wrap that seam on the very inside to see if he can make it pass here on the 21 machine. And like you said, it's just so hard to make it pass effectively. If you can continuously try to roll that bottom, he can maybe eventually be able to get that pass done. But right now, it's just 2 by 2 by 2 right here in the middle of this pack as they're coming to complete lap number 8.
We're still looking here at Zach Nichols, who's on the bottom lane. He's trying to get around Brad Wright. Now we look at Christopher Hill. He was fighting there. Now Blaze Crawford's in a battle as well. All of these drivers fighting for precious points. This is a survival mode of sorts here, Jason, is if you're able to get through this one right here, the only short track we're going to see in the second round, this could make or break your contender run. And this is going to be fun to watch as there's Brad Wright on the outside of the 44.
And he's on that outside of the 44 machine for sure, heading into turn number 3. But you know what's funny? One thing to notice about this racetrack, we talked about it earlier on, how hard it was to pass on the bottom of the racetrack. Everybody's going to want to jump to that outside lane. As you see, everybody down into 1, diamonds the corner in a very awkward way from the middle up to the top lane, back down to the bottom, which is going to burn those right sides, especially the right rear, off the corners. But I mean, that's the thing about this racetrack. It's such an awkward thing to say is that, hey, I want to get up to the top side. I don't want to be on the bottom. Where if you go to Martinsville, for example, everybody wants to be on the bottom. So this is just the great thing that IRP is able to provide. And sure enough, it's going to be a really, really great race. Going to be tough to maintain track position as well.
There's Matthew Swack on your screen. They're 2 by 2 a little further on back into this field. Swack currently sitting in the 15th position. Familiar colors, Dan, for you here. That's a nice looking truck.
Very nice looking truck, similar to the throwback scheme I ran at Darlington in the eNASCAR Coke Series race couple months ago. Looking there, trying to get a spot there on the inside, battling for just inside the top 15 with, I believe that is Mr. Cole Hooper in the 17. Or we got 2 17s out there. We got Cole Hooper on the outside, and we got Max Brady in the Carlos Pizza machine right behind him.
A lot of cool numbers. We'll keep the lower third down there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. That right there was a wall slap for the driver to the outside. That's Cole Hooper who got the wall, and he loses 2 spots. Now we're going to try to make it 3 as here comes Dalton Collins. He started in the back of this field, now put him currently P18. He's just in front of James Wenzel, who's currently sitting in the 19th spot. So Jason, you talked about the bottom not being the best place to pass, to not burn the tires up as well. But when a driver makes a mistake in front of you, you have to capitalize quick.
You're going to have to capitalize, and it's either do you choose to ride behind and wait for this guy in front of you to give you the opportunity to make the pass outside, like you see Blaze Crawford kind of opening up the door right there for Jack Coyne behind him, but Coyne was not able to take advantage of Crawford going more towards the middle side rather than jumping up to the outside. But if you don't have that outside, do you choose to go to the bottom, like right here in front of Blaze Crawford? Eddie Kerner looking to the bottom on Zach Nichols there in the 44 machine. Saw him get loose, tried to take the opportunity. Now he looks to the inside of the racetrack, heading through 2 to the bottom.
Starting to see these, a little bit of contact there between Eddie Kerner and Zach Nichols. Eddie Kerner's going to fire it down the inside. This is something we're probably going to see most of the night too. Maybe pull a little slide job on a short track as Eddie Kerner completes the pass. And here comes Blaze Crawford looking for position as well.
Blaze Crawford trying to get around the 44 of Zach Nichols. Oh, contact was made there. He got into the back bumper of that Neonism truck. And, well, for Zach Nichols, try that on a short track. And he most certainly did, as every single one of these drivers, Dan, they're lunging it into the corner. And have you seen racing this hard, this early before?
Definitely. I don't remember it being this chaotic even last year. And these guys, like I said, they're getting every position they can because they don't know how hard it is going to be to pass. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, this race is 20 laps shorter than it was last year. So the urgency is gonna be even higher than ever before here at IRP, as we got more racing here with Trayton Labovich looking on the inside of Jack Coyne, trying to get that pass completed.
Yeah, Labovich and Coyne have been going at it for almost 3 laps straight. That Reaper machine down on the bottom of Coyne, he's got some speed in that number 19 truck, able to make the corner sweep, get up to the door, and try to make the run off the exit. Very quick laps. We're already 21 in. Jason, we're going to blink and this race is going to be over.
Tell you what, who wouldn't mind having that happen is Chris Pfeffer. He is pulled out, man. He is pulled all the way out to almost a 1.5-second gap over Taylor Hurst, who is currently residing in the 2nd position. Then Ray Alfala is your top 3 right there for the podium. So those 3 guys kind of able to separate themselves from the pack. Ray Alfala, though, a little bit under fire from Agnell Phillip back behind them. That's when the pack kind of starts to get formed. But they have got single file, as you see, while the rest of the pack behind them continues to fight and claw for every position, every point here at IRP.
Agnell Phillip in the A51 Pro number 9 tonight. He's currently sitting in the 4th place position. He holds it over Hill, Seth the Merchant, Brad Wright, Buttafuoco, Nichols, and Crawford. Your top 10 here this afternoon. And it is single filed out, Dan. The chaos has finally sort of chilled out just a little bit. Well, Dalton Collins said, you know what, I'll make a liar out of you here. Dalton Collins trying to put his way up into the 17th position. He's gotten to the inside of Cole Hooper into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, looking for position going in through turns 1 and 2 here. Dalton Collins going for, I believe that is the 17th position, if I'm not mistaken. And he's still going to try to roll that bottom. Oh, going to be rubbing a little bit, leaning on Cole Hooper's door. They're going to remain side by side. Cole Hooper going to get the drive off the corner, using that outside lane, using that outside momentum to get the drive off. But Dalton Collins, he's going to keep going to work through 1 and 2. Man, this is some good racing here. This is only for P17.
Yeah, and Dalton Collins has been one of those drivers that he needs a run. Oh, he washes up just a little bit. Yeah, he was on his door hard. And if you're James Wenzel at this very moment, you're like, hey, settle down, guys. Like, you know, we're lap 26 into this race. But that time, Hooper really gave him a whole lane. He gave Dalton the entire middle groove. They didn't have to touch there, but coming right here in 3 and 4, Jason, he is quite literally putting the wheel on the door and saying hello while he was doing it.
2 things about that, too. I mean, he keeps leaning on him the more and more. You got to think to yourself, Terry, that something's got to give between that 95 of Dalton Collins and Cole Hooper, and sure enough, it finally does. It wasn't a wreck. but they're going to single file out. That was very interesting to see. Now you see back here Matthew Bear working on a driver down to the inside of the racetrack. This is towards the back half of the field. He'll work down to the bottom. Now you look at James Houghton right there. He's in the 41 machine, looking to the inside of one of those drivers there. And everybody right now still just continuing to fight and claw for every position. And Dan, question for you, man. How long do you wait until you realize that you cannot complete the pass on the bottom because that top is just so strong? You just don't want to burn up your tires.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, I think once you try to go for a pass, I'd say you pretty much made your bet, because, I mean, if you can still keep working the guy over and over, lap after lap, you could eventually make the move stick, or they might run into a mistake. Or you might unfortunately, you might have to rough them up a little bit, because that's just how hard it is to pass, just with the current state, with just how big track position is. As we're looking at Tommy Gossett here, not having a great night. Remember, he started out back, did not set a time of qualifying, trying to get his way up through the field.
Trying to climb his way all the way through the field. This is the battle for 31st, 32nd, and 33rd as Gossett, Grant, and Bear tried to hold somewhat of some pace here. As we continuously go green here, we had that early caution, took the restart on lap 6. Jason, if you're the drivers back there in the back and you're thinking, well, Pfeffer, Hurst, Alfala are laying the time down. They're going a whole lot faster than what we saw 1 year ago. If you're the drivers in the back of the field, what's your mindset here? Are you praying for this caution to come out now? Or are you like, well, let's try to flip some strategy and maybe go in and get some tires?
Kind of questionable. I mean, I am no eNASCAR driver myself, man. I just drive the dang sim. I mean, that's basically all there is to it. But I mean, you know, if you're a driver like Taylor Hirsch, you know, you kind of want to see this run green. You don't want to see some, you know, a caution come out and then just give Christopher Pfeffer, you know, better tires, obviously, and then give everybody else an equal advantage to you. You like that the track is starting to come to you. You like that your truck is starting to adjust to the track conditions and whatnot. But if you're a driver towards the back of the field, man, you're either hoping for a caution or you're going to try to pull an undercut if, in fact, this race does go green.
There goes James Houghton. He's going to go to the inside here, and Houghton's going to try to get on Hunter Gohagen. I'm going to keep getting that name correctly as these two go side by side. A little bit more racier back here for 25th, 26th, 27th in this row that we've got going on our screen. You see back up here, we've got Spencer Burns. He's not necessarily having the run that he wants. He's currently sitting 23rd, trying to get around Mitchell Hunt. We go back up here to Dalton Collins, who's sitting 18th at the moment. Not a whole lot of racing going up and down the timing sheet, Dan, and I think everybody just kind of calmed down as I say that. You got Wenzel getting under attack. That's from Michael P. Fresh.
Yeah, we're seeing this battle. Meanwhile, we see this on our TV screen right now. I'm still watching this ding-dong battle for 25th between James Houghton and Hunter Gohagen back here in the 25th spot. It's really the only side-by-side battle we got on the racetrack, as they've been beating and banging fender to fender off every straightaway over the last couple of laps. And Houghton, he's still trying to work Hunter Gohagen over. And Gohagen's going to get the drive off this corner. Hogan's got to settle on line and try, or James Houghton, I should say, got to get in line and try again. As here comes the 12 machine of, let me get this name right. That is Dominic Lukomski looking underneath Houghton for this week, 26. And he's always
save it.
He saves it. What a save by Dominic Lukomski. But that's going to cost him several spots if he wasn't in the back enough already. He's going to pretty much drop to the end of the field.
Lukomski did a really good job of saving that. Now we go back up here to Gohagen. Joseph Causey, he's going to get a fight as well to his inside. All of these drivers fighting for ever so precious points at this very moment. At this stage in this, 28 points separates the cut line, actually right above the cut line, to the very last person in the 69th spot. So track position is key, but getting the points that you need, because we don't know what's going on in split one. We can't watch two at the same time. I'm sure we can at the mid-race if the caution flag comes out. But it would give us an opportunity here to see all these drivers. We have a massive four-truck fight here. Jason Rockefeller coming down the front straightaway.
Down the front straightaway, you see Joseph Causey looking down to the inside of that 88 truck. And oh my goodness, all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. Lots of beating and banging. Some drivers hitting the wall back there as well. And Joseph Causey, he's going to give that position up to the 51 machine, while the 63, meanwhile, right back behind him, trying to get to the rear bumper. It's just so hard to pass on that inside, but the tires are starting to wear. So some guys could be running the middle lane better. Some guys going to run the outside better as well.
Well, Daniel, I actually want to ask you this question because it just popped in my head when Jason said this point. As the tires start to wear here, where are you going to put this truck in this series to better your position in this race?
Yeah, he's talking about the tires are going to be falling off drastically. It's heat of the day. We got a nice, pretty toasty track there. Actually, not really. It's only 97-degree track temp, so a little bit of cooler track. I don't know what these guys are expecting. Oh, we got even more contact with Johnny Avila, excuse me. And then we got Yusuf Gali, Tommy Costa looking down the inside. We're 3 wide for 28th right now, guys. This racing is insane here.
Oh, and Gossett hung on to it. He got to the inside of the 63 of Johnny Avila, and that was almost a disaster for the Ryko driver in the number 80. Do not want to see this as we go. And for a lot of these drivers, Jason, they can't afford to have a bad run. Would you flip some track position here? Just put yourself in the mind of the driver for a second. If a caution flag comes out, do you take the track position now and give up the tire advantage, or do you flip it to go one way or the other to try to make this run a little bit more salvageable?
Definitely not option one if my truck's handling like those guys in the back of the field, because they are going absolutely nuts back there, battling for what Dan said was about 28th position. You think that these guys don't care about points? Every point matters here. But to put on your to touch on your point though, Terry, I think that really they could pull an undercut possibly, but I wouldn't really recommend it considering the fact that these guys only have about
caution is
out.
out.
Got a yellow.
Caution flag number 2 waves on the speedway, and this was right as Taylor Hurst was barely clipping into that gap that Christopher Pfeffer had, and we'll find the caution and what waved here. But well, this throws the strategy out of the bag because we pit here. You shouldn't have to pit again unless a late race yellow comes out.
Yeah, it's like the caution is going to end up being Joseph Causey, and we're going to get a replay and see what happened. This was back right around that battle we were talking about before we were able to get that battle for the lead, which I was about to talk about because I saw Taylor Hurst was slowly closing into Chris Pfeffer. But yeah, just these guys having more ding-dong battles back here for, I think, around the 27th, 28th positions. And yeah, when we take a look at the replay here, just, I don't know, Joseph Causey just all of a sudden fell off the pace right there as, Avila gets in the wall. And here they come. They're going to be 3 wide here. And, there's some sort of contact there. I believe that was, couldn't quite make out the 12 machine right there. And unfortunately, Mr. Joseph Causey got the worst end of the deal there.
It's a tough break at the moment, but that was Lumkowski that got into the side of him, and it's going to shuffle our standings thus far. We'll come back out and reset where all of the drivers are coming off the pit lane. But man, Jason, good hard fighting, and well, we get to rack them and do it again.
We get to rack them up and do it again, which is going to be very fun, obviously, now that these guys have a fresh set of Goodyear Eagles, or a fresh pair of boots, you could say, underneath these trucks. This is going to be interesting. These guys had 3 sets behind the wall, 4 total with the ones including on the truck, so it's already -1. They're going to have 2 sets left here after these pit stops under the second yellow flag here of the night. Now they're going to rack them up, stack them up, and do it all over again, and that lead that Christopher Pfeffer had, one thing to note about it is right there, before the caution came out, Taylor Hurst was running faster lap times than Christopher Pfeffer. Didn't obviously post no fastest lap time of the race or anything like that, but he was slowly but surely starting to catch Christopher Pfeffer in that 66.
But the number 74 on your screen, the number 10 in the server for McConey Setup Shop has been fairly decent throughout this season. He's gotten some wins. He has been up front contending almost every single week on this server. So very, very good to see. But I looked at our timing sheet not too long ago, and from Christopher Pfeffer all the way back to that battle that was going on for last while the drivers were still on the racetrack, they were only separated, boys, by 0.3 of a second lap time wise. So a ton of speed in this field. For the third time this afternoon, the pace car comes down, and the field is still in the hands of Pfeffer. Green flags back in the air. We're racing once again for the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series, round number 11 at IRP, and there goes Agnell Phillip to third, Jason.
Yeah, and everybody's starting to duke it out. Still double wide, obviously, just like it was back on the front straightaway. It's going to be like this for a few laps. You see Ray Alfala trying to work down to the bottom of the racetrack on Chris Hill. That's the battle for fourth right now out of 3 and 4. While everybody, Dan, we got a yellow on the racetrack yet again. One driver spinning off turn 4.
We are under yellow this time. It's going to be 10 or 11, the 51 machine, 32 in sim. Let's take a look at the replay. See what happened. We're waiting on the replay here. Here we go. Oh, we're waiting on a replay. Here we go. Now we found him. 10 or 11 down in the back of the field, probably right around the 20th, 25th position, I would say. Racing with Johnny Avila once again behind James Houghton. And
it started in front of him.
It started with Eddie Kerner getting spun out of line.
Yikes.
And that collected a few more guys. We're going to have to get another replay. We got all sorts of things to look at here. So going to turn 1, yeah, Michael Frisch, Eddie Kerner, Cole Hooper, all racing around each other. Going through turns 1, 2. It's going to happen down at turns 3 and 4. I don't know if there's a slight misjudgment. See if we can tell this camera angle going down to turn number 3. Oh, Eddie, he just got high. He gets stuck in the wall, and then Cole Hooper just
nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. As Eddie just got high entering the turn. I don't know if he just misjudged the entry, but just got stuck in the wall, and that collected 10 or 11 others.
And the good part about this caution flag is the drivers who were involved did not seem on the replay to take a ton of damage. So as we assess this one here, the drivers who were in this accident, like Love, like Hooper, like a couple other drivers that got turned around, and this was not the first time that we've seen Eddie Kerner get bumped out of line, but he did not get hit a whole lot there. Jason, they still have an opportunity to be fast and to be great.
They do. But with that being said, we talk about how all those guys from about the 18th position all the way down to 21st, from Kwame Scott to Daniel Smallwood, all tied. You know who one of those drivers was? Eddie Kerner, and he right now currently with the tie resides in that final transfer spot. That was not what Eddie Kerner wanted to see happen to him at all heading out of 4.
Sits 32nd. He sits 32nd right here. I don't know if either one of you two or David is watching the top split over on FTF, but I would love to see where our drivers that was tied. And Dan, points was the message coming into the night, and so was track position. Well, Eddie Kerner just lost a ton of both at the same time.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Like I said, just an unfortunate incident. Just got stuck in the wall there, and then there's people just trying to avoid him. But I'm going to give Eddie the benefit of the doubt here. If Jason remembers from 2 weeks ago back at Pocono, I know it's a whole different track, but we remember Chris Pfeffer was involved in the first yellow and went head-on into the outside wall in turn 3. He was leading at the end of the race, trying to go off strategy on late GWCs, trying to stay out on old tires, and almost won the race. So it's not all gloom and doom for Eddie Kerner just yet, but it's going to probably be a little bit harder with us being on a short track.
Doom and gloom has not been the thing that we've put on any of these Road to Pro races. The sun seems to be going away ever so slightly. This is restart number 4 for the 66 of Christopher Pfeffer. He gets to the restart zone. Green flags back in the air, and that was a tremendous start to slide right up in front of Taylor Hurst. But here comes Agnell Phillip. Here comes the McConey setup shop driver of number 10, Taylor Hurst. And they're too wide again. Car into the wall. That was Christopher Hill, and he's got a mirror full, now a door full, Jason, of Ray Alfala.
Ray is continuing to try to work down to the bottom side of the racetrack off turn 4, slip and sliding back out through the field. Ray was about top 3 earlier on. He's drawn another yellow on the track, heading this time, I think, out of 4 yet again.
Oh, that's a big one.
Oh, we got a lot of trucks out here. That's Dalton Collins. And we saw a few more others. Let's take a look at the replay once again. And unfortunately, I think I've been waiting to say this all night, Terry, but cautions breed cautions as we take a look at the replay with Dalton Collins and others.
Yeah, we take a look right here.
Again.
Was that the... No. Oh!
That's a massive stack up.
Johnny Vanilla. We got Charles Grant Jr., his second incident of the night. Dalton Collins and others. Joseph Causey.
Charles.
Just another unfortunate incident once again.
That is a tough break. I would classify that as a misjudgment off the exit of the corner there, not realizing you were 3 wide.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just so close quarters here with just how tight the racing groove is, trying to get that optimal racing groove, and just how tight people are trying to pinch each other up to the wall to try to give as much room for themselves on the bottom, try to get that diamond like we've been talking about, that trying to diamond that corner. Because if you try to wrap around the inside of the corner, you're really just going to kill all your momentum off the corner. You're going to lose that anyway. So just tight quarters, just trying to get every single position that they can on these restarts. Because if we keep racing like we are right now, we may not see a lot more green flag running for the rest of the night.
Well, we are coming to the halfway right here. So I'm just going to throw it out there. If you want to join iRacing, iRacing.com is the portal to the iRacing world. It's iRacing.com, 40% off new members. But if you want all the latest news and updates from the world of eNASCAR, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series playoffs is about to start. If you didn't catch the Pocono race on Tuesday, you can always watch that on demand at twitch.tv/iRacing. You can watch it on NASCAR's YouTube and any other place that you find your iRacing streams. You could also scan that QR code that popped up there for all of those news and updates. You can keep up to date here for the Road to Pro qualifying series. And if you're just joining us, we're on lap 61. This is caution number 4 over the Speedway. I'm Terry Radford, Jason Rockefeller, Daniel Falkingham, the driver of the number 54, Joe Gibbs Racing, Interstate Battery Toyota Camry in the NASCAR Coke Series race. I don't know why that threw me off for a second, but Jason, was this everything we thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I'd honestly say so, because remember during pre-race, Terry and Dan, we did talk about how cautions were going to be probably an issue more than likely, just because of this track being so predominantly set on that outside groove. And you could just see you don't have a lot of guys going up to the super top lane. Everybody's running that middle to top lane right there. That's why there's so many marbles up at the very top of the racetrack right there. It's just so hard to pass, and with all these guys fighting and clawing for every single position here, you're trying to get the most you can out of your truck. And even when you don't think it's going to stick, you're still going to try to get the most out of it. And you think after tonight's race, 4 races remain for round 2. You got Michigan, Milwaukee Mile, Bristol Dirt, and Homestead. So 4 very, very different tracks, just like tonight here at IRP. So we're getting ready for the restart. 1 lap to go here till green. Hopefully we don't see any more yellows possibly.
Dan, anybody who's surprised you so far inside this top 10?
Right now, the noticeable driver I've been trying to keep my eye out for is, I remember I mentioned Michael P. French at the start of the show. He's worked his way up to the 14th position after starting 26. I'm pretty sure he's our biggest mover of the race. So that the NFR truck, bar visuals right there, moving his way up to the field and knocking on the door of the top 10.
Let's try this again, and potentially for the final time. Pace car comes down and in to the pit lane. Christopher Pfeffer is now on the lad pedal. We're green flag racing again, and a massive checkup through the whole field.
Yeah, massive checkup going throughout the entire field. All started about mid-pack right there, but everybody's still fighting, beating, banging for every position out on the racetrack. You look at Agno Phillip going to the bottom right there with Christopher Hill, trying to get around him. Ray Alfala's dropped a few, all while Taylor Hurst in that 74 machine continues to try to run after Christopher Pfeffer. Dan heading into 1.
Hanging in turn 1, Taylor Hurst all over the bumper of Chris Pfeffer. And I don't know what happened on that start. I think that was Jack Coyne who did not get going. And now he's going to get turned into the outside wall by Cole Hooper. Caution is back on the speedway, as we were just talking about what happened.
Oh.
And we had others involved. That's the 11 truck. Man, and Spencer Burns, he's involved. Philip Groner's involved. We are back under yellow again, Terry.
We'll take a look at this replay here, and this is all going to start, I believe, right here. There's Jack Coyne on the bottom, and just around he goes in the 11, had nowhere to go there, locked the brakes up, and around he goes, and Dalton Collins just goes right through him. And that's tough for a lot of these drivers that was not necessarily having the best run of the evening, Jason, and it just got a whole lot worse. But now there's a little bit of strategy starting to play in here. Not a whole lot of tire advantage, but some strategy to say the least.
Possibly here, we'll have to see. But all these guys up at the back of the field tonight, man, they might just need a nice cold Coke after this one, because it has been
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero sugar. I gotta try it first, and these guys might have to try some after this one. Oh yeah, we love that commercial. Hear it way too much. But hey, obviously strategy opens up the door big time. We're probably going to be able to see here maybe one more pit stop potentially. Obviously, if we do go green the rest of the way, it's questionable, Dan. I mean, what do you think? If this race does go green all the way, do you think we're going to see another pit stop, see some guys take tires, or just to possibly take some fuel as well?
I don't foresee these guys having to pit the rest of the race. These guys should easily make it to the end on fuel. I'm pretty sure they go maybe around like maybe 70, 80 laps, maybe even 90 laps. So I think as long as these guys don't keep getting torn up to pieces, they should be able to stay on the racetrack. And if we maybe get a decently long run, if we get another yellow, do they stay out? Do they take tires? That's probably the only time we're going to see these guys back on pit road if we get another long run. But as I'm looking down through this field, I don't know what happened, like I said, that restart with Jack Coyne and others. I'm looking at Max Brady in the number 17 machine. His nose is heavily punched into the front. And so I don't know how much that's going to kill his aerodynamics, or unless that's going to overheat the engine. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with Max Brady there, because he was the unfortunate one to be right behind Jack Coyne, didn't get going, and now got a big old hole punched in the nose. So hopefully it doesn't affect him too much.
We'll look out for that, as he's currently sitting in the 13th position. Overheating could be a big story with Max Brady, and take a look at him right here on the screen, and him and Hooper are door to door under this caution flag, and we waved it for the 5th time over IRP for round number 11 of the eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying Series. We're still keeping a look at the points when we finish this race, and they all get updated. Just an update 6 minutes ago from Top Split, 6 yellows at that moment, with Anthony Burrows leading from the pole. So same story, just a different split, Jason, where Pfeffer's led from the pole, Anthony Burrows is led from the pole over there as well. So both crews talking about track position being a big key.
And we also talked about that too at the beginning of the broadcast. Track position was going to be key. You're seeing a lot of guys up at the front tonight here that really were there right at the beginning of this race. You look at a few guys. I mean, you see Seth DeMerchant, Ray Alfaro. The only one I'm kind of really noticing who's kind of made his way up is Daniel Botafuco, starting 12th. He's up to 7th now. Track position's continuing to be key here tonight, and it's going to continue to be key all the way to the very end.
Well, they are currently under the caution flag as well. They have 59 laps to go. Green flags back in the air over here for split number 2. That was an amazing restart from Christopher Pfeffer, but that's going to allow Agnell Phillip. He took a lane underneath Taylor Hurst there for P2, Dan. They come roaring down the back straightaway. They're side by side, third on back.
Side by side for P3 with Agnell Phillip and Christopher Hill, and then you got Ray Alfaro. Just got a slot in line right in front of Seth DeMerchant, and then you got the first side-by-side battle where Daniel Botafuco's got to fire it down the inside. This is for P6, trying to wrap around that inside lane. His truck has been able to hook up pretty well off these corners. He has that drive off under that number 13 machine. See if he can clear Seth DeMerchant. He's going to fire down the inside. He's going to clear Seth DeMerchant into 3.
That JDR graphics truck looked really good as he has Blaze Crawford, his teammate, behind him. He's going to look to the inside of Seth DeMerchant, and a wreck happens in the back. Caution flag waves, lap 73. And who caused this one?
I just saw this out of the corner of my eye. I believe it was Mitchell Hunt and Tommy Gossett getting together, coming off turn number 4 for the 18th position. We'll have to get a replay and see what happened there. But I just saw it right out of the corner of my eye. But we'll have to get a closer look coming through turns 3 and 4. Mitchell Hunt and the Nexus Esports machine inside of Tommy Gossett. Going off turn 4, and yep, contact, sends Mitchell Hunt around. Everyone scatters. James Houghton involved in another incident. It has just not been a night of that 41 machine. And we are, cautions breed cautions, Terry.
I'll give you the update while we're under the caution flag here. This is caution number 6. 56 now laps to go. Anthony Burrows, Andrew Navarro, Johnson in the 21, Kozovitz, Logan Helton, your Firecracker 400 winner, currently running 5th. Kwame Scott, Jackson Crowder, Luke Canup, James Holzer, and Caden Rush, your top 10. And if you're a lot of these drivers in this split, if they're getting an update from their crew chief, Jason Rockefeller, and says, oh, wow, you mean the guy that I'm tied with in points is doing really good? And if you're Kwame Scott, who's 6th, and Ray Alfala's sitting 5th, and you're like, huh, we're probably still going to stay tied here.
Likely. It's been so hard all night long to get track position. I mean, from the very start of this race, again, just to touch on my point from before the restart, everybody has not really moved at all. The guys who have been in the back all night have stayed in the back. The guys who have been in the middle of the pack have stayed in the middle, and so forth. So, I mean, if you're a guy in the back of the field tonight, man, it is an absolutely devastating night from you. You might as well take this race and then light the dumpster on fire after this one, and then throw this here and probably your setup along with it, because this is going to be one race that you're going to want to forget if you're drivers in the back of the field like Nichols, Grant, Causey, obviously. It's just been so hard to get track positions tonight. The only thing, Dan, that's going to possibly throw this race up in the air and create a huge mix-up is if we get that long green flag run before the end and have a yellow and possibly have guys stay out.
Absolutely, and as we are looking at the laps, we are about to complete lap 76. We're going to have right around 40 laps to go when we restart here. So, honestly, and how IRP is short track, not that too long of a run. So I'm very interested to see if we do get even just a little bit of a run, like 30 laps or so. These guys are going to pit, or are they going to stay out? Because, I mean, once we get down at the end of this race, you ain't giving up your track position. You don't want to be back in all of the hornet's nest, as we've seen at the back half of the field. That's where all the cautions seem to be. So you definitely want to stay out of trouble there. But we know these guys, like I mentioned earlier, they're good to the end on fuel. So I think these guys have already made their bet on what's going to happen the rest of this race. They just got to stay out of trouble.
We have a 6-lap advantage over the top split that's currently airing on FTF. That's twitch.tv/FTF is where that one's going. It's a close fight for their race lead there. We'll take the green flag here with 42 laps to go, and we'll see, can Christopher Pfeffer hold the race win from the pole? Can somebody put a challenge to him and potentially come up here and change the outcome of this race? It's yet to be seen if Taylor Hurst has the short run burst that Pfeffer has, but we know Taylor Hurst has the long run speed. I'm sure he does not want to see another caution flag. Your top 10 here: Pfeffer, Hurst, Phillip Hill, Ray Alfala, your top 5, Buttafuoco, DeMerchant, Crawford, White, Lapovich. That is the top 10 as we round turns 3 and 4. Pace car comes down. Green flags back in the air. Pfeffer's hard on the loud pedal down the front straightaway, Jason.
Yeah, and he's been on that loud pedal right on every single restart, hitting it just right all night long. Continue to see some side-by-side battles. You see Agnell Phillip, Christopher Hill going at it as Phillip hits the wall. Or not Phillip, but Hill, excuse me, off turn number 2. Hits the wall, almost gives the position up to Agnell Phillip, and he will here, Dan, off turn number 4. He'll clear him for that 3rd spot.
Indeed he will. Welcome back to the top 3. He's still in the top 3 for Agnell Phillip, Christopher Hill. And then we got side-by-side Ray Alfala, Dan Buttafuoco. Buttafuoco continuing to move up through the field. He's been having really good restarts these last few restarts and has been able to pick off at least a position every last few restarts. And he's going to do it again. If he can clear Alfala off turn 4, get the drive off. Welcome to the top 5, Daniel Buttafuoco to turn 1.
Pretty crazy to think that it was a season without Ray Alfala in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, but Dan Buttafuoco looking for his first ever trip. Potentially, if he can get back to contender, his first trip to the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And for Ray Alfala, it's the first time since the inception of the which was the Peak Series back then for him to come back into the series under a different era, you would say, for the 4-time champions. You look at Matthew Schwack back here having a great fight at the moment. The driver to the outside of him, I believe, is Trayton Lapovich that's there, and now Max Brady works his way into this fight. Jason, they're fighting all over the place. We're going to come to 37 laps to go.
You're looking at Trayton Lapsevich and Matthew Zwack continuing to battle it out. They get single file down the back straightaway. More side-by-side action and duking it out here. Here's Blake Neer to the inside right there on one truck. Believe that's Max Brady. He'll look down to the inside, throws it down in there, or fires it down in there, like Dan's been saying all night long. Jumps back up to the top of the racetrack. Still cannot find any ground here to try to pass Max Brady. He'll shoot it down into turn 3 this time by. Still cannot make the pass here, Dan, though, into turn 4.
Yeah, these guys fighting hard, but I'll tell you what, who's also fighting hard too? Cole Hooper and Michael Frisch down right behind them. Like, they seem like they've been hitting doors off corner exit for like the last 2 or 3 laps, and they're still going at it, and they're still banging doors off turn number 2. Frisch trying to clear Cole Hooper. This is for the 14th position, and they're going to remain side by side. Hooper slides up the hill, trying to stay off of that bar visuals machine. And he's going to get mega sideways off turn number 4. Michael Brady Frisch going to clear for that spot. Watch out into the wall. That got hit by James Wetzel. He keeps it straight. No, he doesn't. Right across traffic. Gets turned by Tommy Gossett. Others collected. Mitchell Hunt as well. Watch out. Spencer Burns sideways in the grass. And we are under yellow. I've lost count here. You're going to help me out on this
7.
one.
As this caution flag number 7 of the night, as we watched it unfold before our very eyes with the number 2217 sim stamp number get squirrely right there. Looks like he potentially locked the brakes up, caught the wall, and then there was nowhere to go for Dalton Collins when he came off the exit of the corner. Just came off the wall and around he goes. Gossett gets involved. The third 17 truck of the evening piles into that one as well. And Jason, caution number 7, and I'm sure the smile on Christopher Pfeffer's face, it probably hasn't left, because he knows that this is right up his alley. A good little 30-lap run to the finish.
This has been everything that Chris Pfeffer has needed all night long, just to continue to see Taylor Hurst, Agnell Phillip, Chris Hill, Buttafuoco, other drivers. The only driver I'm honestly really worried about, not biasly because he was my pick, honestly, is Daniel Buttafuoco if I'm Christopher Hill, because Buttafuoco is continuing to make that march up towards the front. Every single restart he gets, he picks up 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 positions. And now that he's found himself in the top 5, he's going to have an opportunity to throw it down into the turn 1, possibly make a clear here on Ray Alfala and battle with Chris Hill. But also, Chris Pfeffer has led most of this race. He's got to be thinking to himself, man, woo, thank gosh I don't have a long green flag run, because Taylor Hurst at one point, Dan, looked like on that one long green flag run that he was going to be able to catch him before that yellow.
Absolutely. Taylor Hurst looking strong as ever, as he has this entire Road to Pro Round 2 season thus far, and looks to carry that out throughout the rest of the season. But right now these guys, we're going to probably restart with right out under 30 laps to go. Pretty much going to be a lot of short running here to the end. I think it's pretty certain these guys are not coming back to pit road for the rest of this race. It's just all about just staying out of trouble. Don't do anything stupid. Just keep your position, take your points, and then we'll see you in 2 weeks at Michigan. So very intrigued to see if anyone else, even from the back of the field, we've seen a lot of people in some wrecks tonight, if they can salvage what is left of this race too.
So pretty much what you're telling me, Dan, is once this race is over, don't get into a C Open race, because I'm probably going to get smoked or lapped by the Road to Pro sets. I think that's what you're telling me nonchalantly.
Hey, I wasn't trying to say that, man. I'm just theoretically speaking.
He meant it with his whole heart.
It's a lesson to everybody out here. Don't. Just don't, because I'm sure these drivers will be very early testing as caution. I believe number 8 has fallen over top split as well. That was a single truck incident. A couple trucks got together. One tried to clear up the wall, and around he goes. I believe that was Boyd Hogan in the 96 there. We're going to rack them and stack them again here we'll wait for that pace car sedan to come down pit lane for the 8th time, counting our initial start of the evening, and we'll hit the line with 29 laps to go. Jason, this is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Dan, I'm sure your three cautions will come back out again here in just a second. We'll wait for Pfeffer to hit the throttle. Let's see, rounds 3 and 4. Green flags back in the air. We're racing once again, and what a incredible start there for the 66 of Christopher Pfeffer. Jason, they come barreling into turn number 1.
Railing it down into turns 1 and 2. Agnell Phillip got a little bit loose through the center of 1 and 2. He falls back into the clutches of Daniel Buttafuoco, but he's going to be able to clear Christopher Hill heading into 3 and 4. This opens up the door for Buttafuoco to try to make a run. Meanwhile, Chris Pfeffer loose off turn 4. First battle for the lead all night long. Taylor Hurst, Dan looks to the inside. Contact made through the center of 1 and 2.
Out of the inside, turn number 1, they're being doors side by side down to turn number 3. In my pick at the beginning of the show, Hurst fires it down the inside. He kind of gets a little loose. They make more contact. Big fight for the lead here. Taylor Hurst coming to the line. I think he's going to lead this lap. No, give it to Pfeffer as they go back to turn number 1. Taylor Hurst, Chris Pfeffer, they remain side by side, and they're fighting back there for P4 as well.
Wheel to wheel for the top spot for the first time here this afternoon into turns 3 and 4. Put a door on the 66 from that 74. He's shown glimpses of speed, but this time Pfeffer will get clear. 26 laps to go, and contact's made. He gets him to the bumper. There we go. The gloves are coming off here this afternoon. They'll drag race again. Jason Rockefeller down the back straightaway as they try not to make contact again.
Boogie from Taylor Hurst, baby. You love to see it. And down into 3 and 4, they're side by side again. Taylor Hurst knows he cannot let Christopher Pfeffer get away. He has the preferred line as Taylor Hurst continues to try to wrap the bottom. Meanwhile, Agnell Phillip trying to run them down as they continue to be side by side. This time, door handle to door handle into turn 3 with Hurst shooting it down to the inside.
And don't look now, Daniel Buttafuoco up to P4. He has gained another place on the restart. I'd look out for him as he's going to probably have a chance for these guys as they are still side by side for the race lead. Taylor Hurst underneath Chris Pfeffer. They're still going to remain side by side at his left rear quarter panel. Going down to turn number 3. This just allows Agnell Phillip to close in on this battle. And man, they are still side by side. A little more contact. Pfeffer's going to get the drive off this corner. He's going to be clear for now. As they head back to turn number 1, we're going to remain single file. Pfeffer's going to get away with the lead here, but Taylor Hurst trying to get to his bumper, gives him a little tap, trying to get back to his bumper, see if he has another shot at him as he's got the drive out to number 2, Terry.
Well, nothing that the little bumper to fender action won't hurt as Taylor Hurst slams it back down into 3 and 4. They'll see Barney the flagman, 22's in the air, and if you're Taylor Hurst, you need to make the pass happen, and you need to make it happen quick as Agnell Phillip has worked his A51 Pro Chevy Silverado up to the back bumper. It is 4 Silverados in a row before we get back to Christopher Hill, who's the Toyota Tundra in the field, currently sitting 5th. If you're any of these drivers, Jason, if you're Taylor Hurst, what are you doing to potentially get Pfeffer, who's led every single lap, out of the groove to make the pass for the win?
4, I said the phrase, boot scooting boogie, baby. You got to do that bump and run. It has to happen, but don't wreck the guy, obviously, because that is a voodoo no-no here in the sim racing world. You do not want to do that at all. Taylor Hurst tried his best at Christopher Pfeffer. Now Chris has been able to put about a truck width between those two drivers, trying to drive his best away. It's just Taylor Hurst. It's all up to him if he can create the momentum again, build it up, try to get back to the bumper of Pfeffer. But Agnell Phillip still waiting in the wings in case anything happens behind them, as we have a battle for 4th going on between Buttafuoco and Hill, this time by into 1.
Buttafuoco was able, like I mentioned earlier, he was able to gain another spot on that restart. He's slowly been picking off spots one by one by one, and right now seems to have settled here in the 4th position as Chris Hill trying to get back to Buttafuoco, but Buttafuoco has pulled maybe a car length and a half on him as they come off to number 4. And Chris Pfeffer, guys, he is starting to drive away. Taylor Hurst got nothing for him at the moment.
Talk about a make it 0.4 of a second now is the gap between your top 2 at the moment. You take a look at the battle going on throughout the field. You've got Christopher Hill getting a challenge from Ray Alfala. Blaze Crawford's worked his way into this fight as well, but Fuco is starting to be in a fight. There are literal battles everywhere on the racetrack. 18, now make it 17 laps to go, and if you're Ray Alfala, you need to be thinking, where's Kwame Scott? Where's Wenzel? Kerner's kind of out of this fight right now. He's sitting in 20th all the way back here. Where's Kyler Wynn? Where's Daniel Smallwood in top split? Michael Venables in top split as well. There are a lot of drivers who are still chomping at the bit, Jason, to get inside the top 20.
Tell you what, I'm going to address the elephant in the room here when it comes to thoughts, and I think we're all thinking the same thing. Yellow flag's going to come out probably before the end of this race, no doubt about it. With how tight the points battle was coming into tonight here at IRP, there's no doubt about it here in my mind, and probably everybody else's here, Dan, that these guys are going to try to rough each other up and go for every single point, but at some point something's got to give, and somebody might have something happen to them.
Hey, after all, we are on a short track, so I would expect a lot of that if we do get a late race yellow. I mean, we pretty much got a preview there, battle for the race lead that might happen if another yellow flag were to fly over the field. As we look back here at James Wetzel going for position on Matthew Swag and Blake Neer, and then you see Max Brady struggling with that nose damage on the front of his truck, and Michael P. Frisch right behind him.
Well, Max Brady is trying to salvage a finish out of something. He has a little bit of damage there. You see the nose kind of caved in on the front. He's currently sitting 2 points above the cut line. Agnell Phillips doing a tremendous job trying to add to it, currently sitting third. And he's got Cody Harris, who is a friend of him from the RSR competition side of things. He's not having the run that he wants as well. I don't think that he's there, and Kwame Scott's had an issue in top split. He's fell back to 19th, so a lot of those drivers over there having some issues. So the points are going to be very shaken up by the time we get to Michigan, Jason, and we'll have to hit all the points in the pre-race show on that one because, well, we might be talking a little bit of a different story, not a four-way tie. We might be talking about somebody being a kind of clear-cut favorite going into Bristol Dirt.
That's obviously possible, and every single one of these drivers are all acclimated to different tracks. They know how to run them all, but some are going to be better than others, and you could just see every single track that's coming up here for the remaining schedule of round 2 for Road to Pro. You know some guys are going to be good, some guys struggle there. If you ran with them enough times, whoa, right below Matthew Bear, somebody got loose right there. But that's the thing about this. Every point matters. You got to take it when you can get it. And you're starting to see that now. 10 laps to go. Battles are starting to happen throughout the racetrack. Could have something brewing here, Dan, late in the going with 9 to go.
Yeah, this is a battle for inside the top 20 between Johnny Avila and Eddie Kerner. Avila in the 63, Kerner in the 98, 24 in sim as you see on your screen. Side-by-side for B20, about the only side-by-side battle we have on the racetrack. So if a yellow were to come, it's probably going to come right around here. But I know guys like Chris Pfeffer, Taylor Harris, hoping this thing stays green. Come on, guys, keep it straight. Keep it out of the wall. Let's finish this thing. As they're going to remain side-by-side for the 20th position. Going down back to turn number 1 with 8 laps to go. Avila trying to put the move on. Gonna push Eddie Kerner to the outside wall. Still leaves him the room, leaves him the space, and he's gonna get the bit of the drive off. He's gonna fire it down to turn number 3. He is gonna clear Eddie Kerner. Kerner gives him the bumper. Kerner's going underneath them.
This is huge. If you're Eddie Kerner, you have to know in the back of your mind that Kwame Scott's not having the run he necessarily wanted to have in top split. You're coming to 6 laps to go. You have to make these moves because that 1 point, Jason, could be the difference of making the eNASCAR Contender Series or going home and try again next season when we kick another season of the eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying Series off.
Sure, Terry, no doubt about it. And when you look at some of these guys, too, this is months, heck, even an entire year, if you want to think about it, of preparation. There are guys throughout both Split 1 and Split 2 who have been going at it for years and have fallen so short just because of one bad night, possibly. So every position matters. And if you're also drivers like Eddie Kerner and also like Avila, you have to go for every position because those are two of the guys who are inside the top 20 heading into tonight, and they need great runs. And so far, it's not looking like it here as they approach 4 to go.
Coming to 4 laps to go, Pfeffer has led wire to wire so far. He'll round the corner, get to the back straightaway. We'll have 3 laps to go. Dan, anything that you're hoping from Taylor Hurst to come up here and potentially take this win?
Well, I don't know if you all saw my shirt at the top of the broadcast. I'm wearing the Ross Chastain Hail Melon shirt. I don't know. I wonder if he might try to pull some of that out of the pocket, but I think iRacing might frown upon that. But hey, if you want to win a race, you might as well go for it. But unless he can make some serious time here in these final 3 laps, I think this is going to be your running order. Coming to the line, Pfeffer, Hurst, Phillip. Coming to 2 laps to go, and everything right now as I look across the racetrack, everyone is side by side. We got a little side-by-side battle right outside the top 15. But right now, Chris Pfeffer looking to bring this home. Star on the pole has led every single lap and looking to do the trifecta, Terry, as he is coming to take the white this time by.
Coming through turns 3 and 4 for the penultimate time, Christopher Pfeffer is leading like he has all race long. White flag into the air. This race is official through turns 1 and 2 for the final time. Down the back straightaway, it has been all Christopher Pfeffer, and through turns 3 and 4. Go ahead and give round number 11 to the driver of the 66. Pfeffer gets it done. Taylor Hurst second, Agnell, Phillip, Buttafuoco, Christopher Hill, your top 5.
A great finish here tonight. What a race. Despite having the amount of yellows we did, these guys put on one heck of a show here tonight, Dan. Side-by-side battles throughout the entire night, and we saw a lot of guys fighting and clawing for every single point and position.
Yeah, a lot of guys were able to keep it clean. We had a great green flag run to start. Got a little rough in the middle part of the race with all the yellows, but glad we could end this race with a little bit of a run. And Chris Pfeffer, being in that clean air, was very good on the short run. Didn't quite have the long run like Taylor Hurst had, but that yellow came at the perfect time for Chris Pfeffer, as he's going to celebrate with a nice little backwards burnout down on the front straightaway. Going to park it on the start-finish line. Now he's going to do some burnouts on the front straightaway here at IRP. Very, very good race tonight for a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are going to be happy with their points position, and really looking forward to see how the points are going to shake up at the end of this thing.
We're going to bring you a little bonus coverage here this afternoon. This is the live feed from FTF. We'll call it as if it is over here, so you're not going to miss a thing. If you just finished watching the Split 2 coverage, this is Top Split that is over on twitch.tv/FTF.GG. You see the caution flag is waving. Dan, you know a lot of these drivers in this field, and that right there was just a loose driver that goes around, and that caused the stack up, and then the cautions just continued to follow. As look at this. This is absolute hornet's nest. There's Kwame Scott in this one. There's the 12, the 98, the 5 goes around. That was a big pile up there on the back straightaway.
Yeah, you guys are like going like 4 and 5 wide trying to get all these spots. I don't think we saw that much of chaos in our race tonight, but yeah, definitely guys over on the FTF split, they've had a lot more yellows than we had. I can't remember the total. I don't know what look at the total number of yellows we had here tonight, but yeah, right here just a little bonus coverage, seeing some guys having some trouble with Andrew Navarro leading this thing, trying to build on a great points night. He's already looking really good in the points and just trying to build that up, trying to lock himself into contender as early as he can.
Well, you see the top 20 sitting at the moment, and Jason, a lot of drivers who was in our split were really hoping that these drivers would have a bad run to the finish. And you look at Smallwood, he was sitting tied for the transfer spot with Kerner. He's sitting 13th. Kerner finished 21st here this afternoon, so a good points day in that retrospect. Kyler Wynn sitting 15th. That's a huge story. He's 1 point behind Daniel Smallwood. Brandon Hanna, you don't see him so far on that timing screen all the way up to 15th. You would hope that Brandon Hanna would show just a little bit there. He's 26th with damage in that 88. A lot of stories, and well, we finished about 14 laps before the top split did this afternoon.
just kind of how it happened. A couple weeks ago at Pocono, we finished a little bit later for Split 2 coverage, a little bit afterwards from when these guys finished. And sure enough, me, Dan, and David called one heck of a battle between Briar LaPrade, who sits second right now, trying to go for 2 wins in a row there in that number 19 machine. So it's going to be interesting to see here on this restart if Briar can continue the momentum from Pocono and take this checkered flag after this one. And I think if he probably does, he's going to be sitting the points leader more than likely after this one by Taylor Hirsch, just by about 1 point. But with that, we'll have to see. Lots of guys throughout this entire field right now who needed good races. Some of them are having good races. Some of them aren't. Drivers like Daniel Smallwood sitting 13th. He was 21st coming into the points tonight. Lots of guys throughout this field here, Dan, that need good nights, and they're going to need something to happen quick.
Yeah, looking at these guys getting ready for a restart here. It's very interesting to see like how the points are going to shake up, because obviously we need to wait for this race to be done, see how the points are going to shake up. But very intrigued to see how this race is going to end up finishing.
It's going to be fun to see how the ending of the top split race is done. Don't adjust your pictures. This is the FTF coverage. Pace car comes down and in. Briar LaPrade, Andrew Navarro, Jackson Crowder, James Holzer, your top 4. Green flags back in the air. Navarro gets the jump. LaPrade's last week's Split 2 winner from the Pocono Raceway is hard on the tailgate here, and they're going to come to 5 laps to go when they cross the start-finish line. They're 3 wide. Now make it 2 wide back in the back.
Now, hopefully we don't have any more yellows. You see Bits up there trying to make the move with Delaney to his outside as well. They're battling side by side out of turn number 4, all while Andrew Navarro, Briar LaPrade, they try to check out from the field with James Holzer behind them, and Navarro might have some competition here, Dan, from LaPrade back behind him into 3.
Oh, the Pride trying to go back-to-back as we're looking at more side-by-side action here. I believe that's Anthony Burrows and Noah Bitts side-by-side with Brian Mercurio behind them as they're coming to 4 laps to go. Everyone's trying to keep it straight for 4 more circuits as they're getting loose in the back for right around the 20th position. They all hang on to it, and wow, cuts right to it. Perfect timing there as they're like 3 and 4 wide. I know it's down on our feet, but just enjoying it, just seeing it as we see it as they're coming to 3 laps to go as there was more side-by-side action here in the back of the field.
Perfect time to test your broadcasting skills as we watch Zach Johnson produce this one. Amazing coverage and great commentary team from our FTF friends over there on Twitch. You see Andrew Navarro starting to step away just a little bit. Make it 0.3 of a second. It goes up to 4 when they exit the turns 3 and 4. 2 laps to go for Andrew Navarro as it is 2 and 3 wide. A little further on back, and Holzer, who has not had the best car this afternoon, he's under attack from Crowder and Delaney. White flag is going to be in the air for Barney the flagman, and no, never mind. Caution flag is out. Green, white, checkered in top split.
Wow, that's interesting to see. And man, if you're Andrew Navarro, you are hitting your steering wheel and everything right now, man. You were coming out of turn 4 to pick up what could have been another Road to Pro win here tonight for you. We'll take a look at this replay. Not too familiar with the driver's name, so I'll just call it by number. You see the 5 just right there, hooked really hard into the outside safer barrier by, I believe that was the 86 machine. They're taking another look at it here, Dan. And the 86 just gets really high, hits the wall, and then just gets loose ultimately, and pow, right into the outside wall like a ticking time bomb there on that front bumper.
That was Kyler winning the 82 that the 5 truck got hooked off of, and then he had Spencer Kostowitz down underneath him, just a 3 wide. Misjudgment got bad, and hopefully we can see a nice clean GWC here. And can't wait to see how this finishes, and really interested to see what our top 3 has to say after their race, because it seems like both of our races tonight have been vastly different.
It has definitely been a vast difference in what has happened from one to the other, and I was very surprised that we did not see a green-white checkered in our show. But like I said, big thanks to our FTF friends who are gonna have us show their coverage for a little bit. It's, they showed ours early on in the season when we had I think it was technically a mega cast, as we had LSR TV, and hope that we put that back on the air from Michigan International Speedway for the next round of Road to Pro, and FTN for always being great and letting us come over here and call these races. Dan, I know you were the original one out of the three of us, but to let myself and Jason Rockefeller come over here and call these Road to Pro races have been fun. The pace car lights should go out this time by, and we'll see it lined up again with Navarro to the bottom, Briar LaPrade to the outside, and then you're going to have James Holzer, your top three. We hope to see all of these drivers. Well, we don't know the fuel strategy for any of these drivers if they pitted early in this one.
Well, Terry actually got a little nugget. I believe Andrew Navarro has not pitted the entire race.
Oh, well, that would imagine on why he is sweeping that one with Holzer. The last time I looked down at the running order, Navarro was not leading the race, and neither was the top three this running order with Holzer sitting in third. He was a little bit further back into the field, but he's been fast at Michigan. I would be very shocked if James Holzer is not a contender in 2 weeks during our coverage at Michigan. Maybe he'll be in split 2. I may or may not have learned just a little bit from James Holzer of how to run the Michigan International Speedway. And, well, we can confirm that Andrew Navarro has not pitted. Briar LaPrade did. Holzer, Crowder, no. Burrows, Delaney, yes. They have pitted. That is your top 6 for the pit stops. But we're going to get ready to go. Green-white checkered attempt number 1. Andrew Navarro and Briar LaPrade. And that was a massive restart for the 42 of Andrew Navarro. Green flags back in the air, Jason.
Yeah, Briar LaPrade's going to have to try to throw everything, and especially the kitchen sink here at Navarro. Coming around off turn number 2, more battling side by side. One truck into the wall that looked to be Anthony Burrows at a turn number 2, but this time by Terry, they'll take the white flag, and Navarro has a mirror full of Briar LaPrade off 4.
Well, for the first time ever in my broadcasting career, we'll call 2 different finishes to the end. Andrew Navarro still leads this race. Briar LaPrade second. The fight's for third. Jackson Crowder, James Holzer fighting it out, but one last dive bomb attempt for Briar LaPrade. He gets into the back bumper of the 42 Navarro, but it's not going to matter. Off of turns 3 and 4, Andrew Navarro gets it done as they're wrecking big time in the back across the line.
That is a massive wreck. Massive wreck across the line. But give it to Briar. He went for it. Just didn't want his ride second. He at least gave Navarro a shot, let him know he was there. And guy like Jack Crowder, James Holzer, those are going to be big points nights for them. Because I know James Holzer has not had the greatest start to the season. This will be big for points for him. But great race for FTF. And now the fun part, see how all the points shake out at the end of race number 3 of round 2.
Cannot wait to see how the points all collide after this absolute barn burner from split 1. And that's right there how you end a short track, wrecking across the line from 5th on back, a battle for the race lead that was absolutely phenomenal, and the pit strategy based off of the cautions that we saw in that one with the tight competition we saw there gets it done. We'll focus our attention back to our split as it is time for our top 3 to get involved. We'll close our stream, and well, why not? Let's go ahead and get our winner, Christopher Pfeffer, as we take a look at the unofficial results. Pfeffer, Hurst, Phillip, your top 3. They're waiting to be interviewed down below us. Buttafuoco, second last week, 4th this week. Christopher Hill, Ray Alfala, your top 6. Crawford, Lapovich, Seth the Merchant, and Brad Wright, your top 10, Jason.
Then rounding out your top 20 of Blake Neer, Matthews Wack, James Wenzel, Max Brady, Michael Freach, Tanner Love, Zach Nichols, James Houghton, Johnny Avila, and Yusuf Galley there in the 33 rounds out the top 20, Dan.
Eddie Kerner, 21st, rough night for him. Jack Coyne, 22nd. All these guys had rough nights. Hunter Gohagen 23rd, Phil Groner 24th, Dominic Lukomsky 25th, Tommy Gaza 26th, Spencer Burns 27th, Matthew Baer 28th, Matthew Baer the last car to finish on the lead lap, Dalton Collins first truck a lap down 29th, and then you got Mitchell Hunt in 31st, Charles Grant Jr. and Joseph Causey round out the field at the end of this night. That was Cole Hooper, by the way, that finished in 30th. Just wanted to shout him out there. And Terry, I'm going to hand over Chris Pfeffer to you, ready to talk with your race winner.
Yeah, Christopher Pfeffer. You didn't look back. You had a little bit of contention back there from Taylor Hurst, but the long run, the short run, you had it all tonight. Went wire to wire for us.
Yeah, man, it was a little stressful at the end, racing with Taylor, because he gave me a couple good shots and knocked me off the track, but it was a good brawl, good race. He raced me pretty clean, which is really nice. I didn't expect him to wreck me or nothing, so it was a fun battle with him. But yeah, man, the Q set was great. I think Taylor and I pretty much tied in Q, so I mean that was cool. I guess I set the time first, so I got the pole. And long run was great, short run was great. It was just all around honestly probably about as good a race as I can run.
Well, this was absolutely what you wanted. You didn't necessarily need to come out here and win this with two decent points races at Mid-Ohio and Pocono, but you were sitting 3 below the cut line. Obviously, we'll look at Michigan in 2 weeks. I would imagine after some of the runs that the drivers in front of you has, you will easily work your way inside the top 20. What's your mindset going into the draft track, from the short track to a draft track, to potentially go out there and go back-to-back at Michigan next week or 2 weeks?
Well, last year I didn't make it past lap 2 at Michigan, so if I make it to lap 3, that's almost a win in itself. So that'd be cool. That's what I'm aiming for, is lap 3. But if I can make it to the end, I'm just hoping for top 10 or top 15. I should be chilling on points now. I should be pretty good.
That's a good goal. In the splits myself this week, I have just been aiming to get past lap 1. But man, congratulations, wire to wire here this afternoon. Can't wait to see you hopefully at Michigan in our split and potentially talking to you again in the booth.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I just want to thank everybody at Legacy Esports. Kevin Kuchar. Kevin Kuchar is the absolute man. He hooks us up all the time. Blackstone Management, Kyle Myers, Randall Fox, Boyd Hogan, and everybody else that helps on the sets. Triton, he helped us a lot in Q, and everybody else on the team. Thanks, guys.
That's the driver of the number 66 here this afternoon, Christopher Pfeffer, who gets the win. Jason Rockefeller, you're going to be standing by with the number 10 machine. That's Taylor Hurst.
We're going to pull him in here in just a second. There he is, Taylor Hurst, coming home P2 tonight, just a little bit short there in the number 10. Taylor, we saw Chris have such a dominant truck all night long, even with the cautions. You seem to have had a long-run truck when we had that one short little long green flag run, if you want to word it like that, man. Do you think if the long run would have kept on going, did you have anything to try to pass Chris?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely tried to manage my tires and stay out of his wake, and the dirty air really chewed the front tires up. So I tried to stay back a little bit and just kind of bide my time. And right when I got to him, the caution fell. So I mean, it was a bad timing. I think if I had another 10 or 15 laps, I probably could have got him.
Yeah, and obviously now you head into Michigan in 2 weeks. How do you feel your confidence going in there, knowing that you were P2 here tonight, and then coming into the points tonight, you were P2, and strongly you should stay right in P2, I believe, if being correct, obviously, after the points all update and whatnot. What's your confidence level heading into Michigan in 2 weeks? Because that's a track where really anybody can win when it comes to the setups.
Oh, it's good. I don't know if I've raced a 2-mile track in the truck before. If I have, it's been a long time. So I've got to get adjusted to the draft and whatnot. I think the official races are there this week, so I might catch one this weekend sometime, and we'll take that McConey setup shop truck to Michigan and try to get a win.
Taylor Hurst coming home P number 3 tonight. Taylor, we will catch you in 2 weeks' time from Michigan.
All right, thanks, guys.
And that was Taylor Hurst. Now we're going to jump it over to Daniel Falkingham, who's going to be standing by with Agnell here, finishing P3 tonight.
Agnell Phillip started P3, finishes P3, a nice podium result for you, Agnell. Seemed like it was a very quiet night. You were able to just qualify very good, have the drag position all night, and just stay up front when it was all said and done.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how the race went. I think we kind of knew that it would be all about track position, and with how short these races are, so it wasn't a whole lot of. We didn't even know if we'd pit, and I think the winner of the other split didn't pit the entire race. So we're just trying to hold on to track position there. Kind of, I think some of the guys at the front, we did a pretty good job of taking care of each other on those restarts and not getting into too much trouble. Can't say the same for the rest of the field, but it was pretty good racing up front.
Yeah, notice Adrian Navarro stayed out the entire race. We didn't mean to keep you guys too long. We were watching the end of that split right there. But yeah, like I said, another great night for you. And according to our live point sheet right now, we've got you 6 in the points, including the drop. That is unofficial, of course. But right now, season's looking pretty good. 3 races down, 4 races left. We were getting close to halfway as we're heading to Michigan next week. Confidence must be pretty high for you.
Yeah, I would say so. I think Pocono, we also should have, walked out of there with at least a top 10, even with all that pit stop craziness at the end, but kind of got into a wreck there. If it wasn't for that, I think we'd have top 10s in every one of the races so far. And we're coming up on a stretch that, especially with Bristol Dirt, that I don't feel super confident about. But I think for the most part, we've done a good job of getting through these first few races without having any droppable weeks, so to speak. Even the Pocono result, ended up to recovering to finish 19th. So yeah, we'll just keep plugging away at it. And I missed the Cup by one point last year, so I do know how fine the margins can be, and got to fight for every spot. But feeling pretty good so far.
Yeah, you keep running like you are right now, you should have no problem, hopefully missing by 1 point this time around. But 2 mile, we've gone from a 2.5 mile triangle to a short track, and we're going back to another big old draft track at Michigan. You could say like the super speedway race of this round. Your thoughts heading there in 2 weeks?
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. I don't know. We haven't had a chance to do a lot of the official racing that's been there this week, but I think we'll have something competitive. And we've done really good at these draft tracks as a team. In partnership with Lockdown Racing, we've I won at Daytona in round 1. Taylor Hurst won at Atlanta in round 1 as well. So that's hopefully something we can translate over to Michigan and come up with something that is competitive and try to keep stacking these good results to try and build up that buffer.
Absolutely. Great job tonight. Podium position tonight. Second top 5 in 3 races. Keep it going. And anybody want to shout out?
Yeah, I have to give a shout out to the ProPublica Guild carrying their logo and colors on the truck. We got voluntary recognition, so our union is official at ProPublica. So that happened today. So glad we can kind of cap it off with a good result for the ProPublica Guild truck. So have to thank them. I have to thank the guys at Lockdown Racing and A51 Pro for the work on the set this week. And yeah, got to shout out my family and my partner as well for their support. But yeah, looking forward to continuing the good runs.
Keep it up, Agnell. Keep it up on the trajectory. Going some good places. Good job tonight, and good luck in 2 weeks in Michigan.
Appreciate it, Dan. Thanks.
Yep, Agnell Phillip comes home P3, and guys, our drivers all finished 1, 2. They started 1, 2, 3. They all finished 1, 2, 3 tonight, Terry.
Was an incredible race from start to finish here. Hey, there's our faces again, and we look a little bit tired. I feel like we've been doing this for about an hour and a half or something along the lines. I see 2 matching hair twins, and then you got the mullet guy over here. I don't know who this guy is. But Jason, I'll come to you here for the final thoughts. Great racing. Our technically only short track of this round. We got Bristol Dirt, which is a great unknown for a lot of these drivers. But take away from this one and give me a preview to Michigan in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, to say that tonight's race wasn't chaotic, it definitely was, to say the least, really. I mean, what did you expect? You were going into a track where the top side was going to be dominant, A. B, track position was going to be absolutely key. And then you had to worry about tire wear, possibly guys staying out, like Dan had talked about way earlier in the broadcast. And then you had to go through the field if you did, and you were going to be caught. The only one I really saw making any sort of ground from the middle of the pack was Daniel Botafuco all night long. And he was, I believe, was able to finish in the top 5. If I'm not too correct,
P4.
If I'm yeah, so there you go. I don't have the live results in front of me. Daniel knows.
You.
Yeah, Daniel knows more than me, but I just called an open race the other day over on Nerditudes, and that I will say was very interesting to watch. You're going to see in 2 weeks' time for the open stuff when they do head to Michigan. That's going to be interesting because it's a very weird combination of like a restrictor plate type track, but that mile-and-a-half feel to it. When the tires start to wear out, things will get spread out, but you'll still have the great race and the great battling. You're going to need to be set up for the long run, and you're going to have a good handling truck there if you want to win, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to Michigan in 2 weeks, and then, like I said, I want to go back to tonight for just a quick second. We were able to have that long green flag run. We weren't able to see the colors of goers. If you might remember, Brad Keselowski talked about in his post-race media this past Sunday at Richmond. He loved having those long runs because you have those covers and goers, like what we used to see in Cup racing so many years ago, and we were able to see that Sunday. You saw a little bit of that here this week here at Richmond, even though the truck's very aero dependent. It was trying to stay in that clean air. And we saw that tonight, like we saw Botafuco come to the field. Michael Fritsch, he came through the field too. He faltered late at the end. But we saw the many covers and goers. People starting outside the top 20, got top 20 finishes, top 15 finishes too. So, like I said, like you get those long runs, it's not all gloom and doom. If you set up for that long run, you're gonna be money almost every single time. But heading to Michigan, it's almost a super speedway-esque like race we're gonna see in 2 weeks' time. I'm looking forward to that one. That's gonna be a fun one to call, Terry.
I'll definitely remind myself to check the clock tomorrow and see where people are loaded into the session so I don't jump into a road to pro qualifying session so I don't get embarrassed. But who knows? I might be an expert. Maybe I'll get a win this week, and we'll put down there under my Twitter handle, C Open winner Terry Radford. But from all of us here at FTN, for the crew, Jason Rockefeller, Daniel Falkingham, our people behind the scene down here, Cody, David, for doing on things. We appreciate you for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks from the Michigan International Speedway. Thanks for watching the eNASCAR Road to Pro Qualifying iRacing Series, and have a good rest of your week.